Good morning and namaste to our distinguished guests, esteemed dignitaries, and everyone present here. My name is Snigdha Chauhan, and it is my great honor to welcome you to this special lecture, a significant milestone stemming from Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) signed last year between the Department of Philosophy of Savitribai Phule Pune University and Bhaktivedanta Research Center (ISKCON). This MOU has opened doors to valuable collaborations, interdisciplinary research, and the exchange of knowledge between our institutions. Today's event is a testament to our shared commitment to advancing philosophical inquiry and exploring new frontiers. We are privileged to have with us Professor Bhushan Patwardhan, a distinguished scholar whose pioneering work has left a lasting impact on both philosophy and life sciences. His book, Genome to Om, co-authored with Indu Ramchandrani, delves into profound themes that will undoubtedly inspire us today. Thank you all for being part of this enriching journey. It is now my pleasure to invite our head of the department, Professor Harish Navle, to formally introduce today's lecture. Let us begin.
Thank you very much, Smita. Good morning. I'm not going to take much time because our today's total focus is on lecture by Professor Bhushan Patwardhan. It is a wonderful feeling to witness this great hall filled with such great dignitaries. I feel honored to welcome you all on behalf of the Department of Philosophy and Bhaktivedanta Research Institute, Research Center, for this one-of-its-kind function where we are going to celebrate the amalgamation of science and philosophy. Last week, on Thursday, Professor Dhumal dropped in the department with a black cover thick book in his hand and asked me, do you aware of this? I was surprised, and it was Genome to Om, the very text on which we are going to discuss today. Next, he asked me, shouldn't we do something on this text? I said, why shouldn't we? We should go ahead and we should do something on it. Maybe a special talk or maybe a seminar on something like that. Then we decided to meet next Friday immediately. Next day we met. We invited Mr. Dr. Chitode sir and we had a formal meeting on it. And in that meeting itself, Professor Dhumal called up Professor Bhushan Patwardhan. On phone itself, Patwardhan sir has given a consent and accepted our request with his generous mind. So, and therefore it was really a big challenge for us that in a very short time, how are we going to organize this session. Next day, immediately we met our Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor. He also promised us that without fail I am going to attend it. And then we started calling our MC member Bhageshwar Mandhalkar and Ravi Shinapurkar. They also accepted our request. So it is a very short notice that we are organizing this session. But we accepted that challenge, and Bhaktivedanta Research Center and Department of Philosophy co-organized this session, and here we are. Sir, we deal with philosophy of natural science, bioethics, philosophical problems of biomedical ethics and environmental philosophy, and philosophy of technology in our department. Students are studying these papers as well as doing research on these areas. And I think these are the intersections of science and philosophy. Since its inception, since the inception of the department, our department has shown academic interest in Indian philosophy and modern philosophy of science. Our university had created a special post for traditional Pandit in our department. Today, in this gathering, I would love to share one more feature of our department, that this year, our department run 3 journals, one in English, one in Marathi, and one in Hindi. So, in 1973, Professor Balvinge and his colleagues started Indian Philosophy Quarterly, the journal, and this journal is now celebrating its 50 years. So last 50 years we have been publishing quality research articles in IPQ. For many years, I would take pride to say that for many years this was the only remarkable research journal on philosophy at national as well as international level. And it was getting published from India, and that from Department of Philosophy, Savitribai Phule Pune University. There are many professors of philosophy today you will find in many prestigious institutions and universities who would tell you that, proudly tell you that they have published their first article in Indian Philosophical Quarterly, because it was so old journal and it was the only existing journal at that time. And after starting IPQ in 1973, if I am not wrong, my teacher and today's chairperson, Professor Deshpande, I think is a witness of first publication of first issue of IPQ that happened in Amalai. He will tell many things about that. And he is the recorded history, live history of the development of IPQ. After 1973, after 5 years of successful experience, Professor Barling and his colleagues started a journal in Marathi and Hindi to cater the need of publishing research in Marathi and Hindi. And they are also doing very well since then. And I'm glad to share with you that all 3 journals are included in UGC care list. On the occasion of Golden Jubilee of IPQ, we have decided, our department have decided to organize one seminar to celebrate its memory and to popularize further. And we are also revamping the entire journal section. We are trying to take it online so that the circulation will be enhanced, the quality article can be quickly accepted, and the entire process would be smoother. So that efforts are being taken in the department. Now coming to the philosophical aspect of today's lecture. Sir, in the contemporary period, we are witnessing transforming worldview, life view that are difficult to understand. So much of transformation is happening currently at every level. So I think collaboration of philosophy and science is required to address this sort of issues. Natural science gives explanation of laws of nature. Philosophy tries to understand the same with its own methods and interests. As a result, new ideas and concepts are evolved. One of the interests of philosophy is to study methodology and logic of scientific explanation. Philosophy tries to explain ideas and concepts in its own way. As a student of philosophy, I believe philosophical ideas and concepts are empty without explanation, and scientific explanation is blind without proper ideas and concepts. And we can remove the blindness and we can remove the emptiness only bringing these two fields together, and then we can definitely progress. Philosophy works at relatively macro level, science works at relatively micro level. Both are the levels of the same universe. Macro and micro are two distinguishable levels but not separable by any chance. They are aspects of one and the same reality. One may quickly remember the idea of Brahman discussed in Upanishada and Vedanta Darshana. Shankaracharya deals with tripartite division and denied duality. His great grand guru, Gaurapadacharya, already declared with the help of Ma, that is Om, that Ajativada, the non-origination, is the reality. So, in this backdrop, if we look at the entire discourse, then maybe we can come up with new ideas. Eminent professor, eminent philosopher, Professor Johnson, in his book Freedom and Neurobiology, which recently I have translated into Marathi, but it is yet to be published, states that it is not always possible to make sharp distinction between conceptual and empirical issues. And indeed, in my own work, Johnson is saying, I rely heavily on all sorts of empirical results. Philosopher is saying, we always make a distinction between empirical and conceptual, but contemporary philosophers are saying that division is no longer exists. He believes that the traditional distinction between philosophy and science is becoming thinner day by day. Science conducts experiments in the four-wall laboratories and explains the laws of nature. We all know that. Darshanika, the Indian philosopher, conducts experiments in an open laboratory of the universe, explains the laws of life and universe in his own ways. Apparently, he takes tremendous efforts to disseminate those among common man. His agenda is to remove miseries from the life of human being. As a result, he composes sutras, stotras, bhashyas, and abhangas. Anyway, without further ado, I'll conclude my words. would be very soon would be reading book, because I think, if I'm not wrong, this is just the third program on genome and home. It was published in I think Delhi, then in Bhandarkar. It was a very nicely done panel discussion on the book, where many dignitaries were existence, and I listened to those videos where Shekhar Mande sir has very clearly explained the Thomas Kuhn's idea of scientific revolution. So we study here in the paper, philosophy of natural science. Definitely, and what that day we discussed, that this is a quickly we are organizing the author's speech on the book, but in coming future we'll study the book, and definitely we'll organize a 2-day national conference or seminar on that book, so that the ideas which are stored in that book will be explored further philosophically and scientifically. So with this, once again, I welcome all dignitaries on the dais and off the dais wholeheartedly for introducing the session ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Unveiling. So this is time to felicitate our esteemed guest, and it is my honor. The first guest that we are going to felicitate is Professor Bhushan Patwardhan, and our Honorable BC is going to felicitate him. And I would like to, introduce him a little bit. It's a big bio, but then I'll just read out the brief bio of Professor Patwardhan. He is a National Research Professor, Ayush Chairman, Executive Committee, National Assessment and Accreditation former Vice Chairman, University Grant Commission Distinguished Professor, School of Health Sciences, SPPU. Professor Bhushan Patwardhan is a Professor of Health Science and eminent biomedical scientist. He is well known for his exceptional work in the field of evidence-based Ayurveda, especially in Ayurvedic biology, ethnopharmacology, natural drug development, and integrative approaches to improve the public health system. His work has led to development of high-impact research projects for the Ayurveda sector commissioned by the Ministry of Ayush. His pioneering work on novel concepts such as Ayusoft, Genomics, reverse pharmacology, network pharmacology, Ayurveda-based vaccines, adjuvant and therapeutic adjuvant are widely recognized. His H index is 49. Professor Bhushan Patwardhan is the chairman of Interdisciplinary Research and Development Task Force on COVID-19, Ministry of Ayush, and member of National Board Examination. He is a former director of School of Health Sciences, SPPU. He worked as an academic head of Manipal Educational Group, Director Institute of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine, Bangalore, Vice Chancellor, Deemed University in Pune, and visiting professor at Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla. He has worked on boards of several universities and was a member of important national committees of the University Grant Commission, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, Central Council of Research in Ayurvedic Sciences, and Indian Council of Medical Research. He has worked on several policy-making committees and task forces of National Knowledge Commission, Planning Commission, Niti Aayog, and Ministry of Ayush. In addition, he is a founder, editor-in-chief of Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine published by Elsevier, and is on editorial boards of many reputed journals. He is a recipient of many orations and awards, including Sir Ramnath Chopra Oration, Waldemar Hafkins Oration, Dr. C. Dwarkanath Oration, and Dr. P.K. Devi Oration, and V.K. Job Best Teacher Award. The WHO Geneva awarded him a study of the role of traditional medicine in public health. His recent scholarly books, Integrative Approaches for Health and Innovative Approaches to Drug Discovery, both published by academic press Elsevier, have received excellent reviews. His worldview article on predatory journals published in Nature has been widely appreciated. He has received several research grants and has guided 20 PhD students. He has more than 250 publications with more than 9,000 citations to his credit and holds 8 Indian patents and 2 US patent with over 8,500 citations. We welcome you, sir, and now I request Honorable VC to felicitate him.
Sir? Yeah, sir, yes, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Honorable VC, sir. And now it's time to welcome, felicitate Professor Sharad Deshpande. And sir will be felicitated. Sorry, Professor Sharad Deshpande will be felicitating our Honorable VC. Kindly.
Yes, now I think we are done. It's fine. Yeah, skip that part.
Second one is, I'm so sorry for this.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Now let's start.
Yeah, please.
So, I mean, this is third generation here now. Thank you. अभी सर का चालू करो because we have to listen now.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And now we will be, Professor Harish Navle will be felicitating Professor Deshpande, and I would like to.
Now it's done. Now okay, now we have to. Let's थोड़ा.
We'll be playing.
थोड़ा आपल्याला मागे घ्यायला लागेल.
We'll begin the session soon. Sir will be delivering his lecture. So you can sit there and deliver the lecture. Before that, we'll be showing the video. I request all of you please please pay attention to the video.
Before video, I'll just speak something about video. Although, and first of all, thank you, Professor Navle and the entire team of Philosophy Department and Bhaktivedanta Research Center, ISKCON, for organizing this very thoughtful event today. I'm really happy and I'm grateful to Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Gosavi, who is not only a good friend for a long time, but a eminent researcher in field of physics. My friend, other senior colleague and friend, Professor Sharad Deshpande, who actually was professor and head right here. And this very hall was created when he was the head of the department there. And the journal which you just read, I have seen how blood and sweat of Professor Deshpande has gone in this journal. I was at that time at the University Management Council, and we did support this activity to make the original journal into digitization. It was a big exercise which was done by Department of Philosophy. Now, although I am a science student, I always believe that science is incomplete unless we walk with humanities and social sciences. And therefore, this book, I will speak about it later, but I thought that this book should speak in way of a performance. And that performance should be based on our own tradition and culture. Because we know that 1,000 words can be expressed in one picture, and why 1,000 words actually? It can be even more than that. So I have been working with Guru Swarupa Udgi from Pune, and she and her team of Bharatnatyam, they created this, and you will love this. This was presented first in New Delhi, and the audience was spellbound. So I thought that today we should start with this just 10-minute clip, but it captures actually the essence of the whole book. And Shankar Mahadevan has given his best voice. So let's see this first.
ओम उदय है ज्ञान मार्ग का, ओम विलय है जड़ चेतन का, ओम निलय है परमात्मा का, ओम स्वयं की धारा है। षड्रिपुओं का उगम स्थान, षड्रिपुओं का उगम स्थान, अज्ञान घोर अंधियारा है। षड्रिपुओं का उगम स्थान, अज्ञान घोर अंधियारा है। जागृत कर दे, और सुहानी जागृत कर दे, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, उजियारा है, उजियारा है। मार्ग चेतना का ले जाए, कहते हैं अध्यात्म उसे। मार्ग अगर हो जड़ का तो फिर कहते हैं विज्ञान उसे। मार्ग चेतना का ले जाए, कहते हैं अध्यात्म उसे। मार्ग अगर हो जड़ का तो फिर कहते हैं विज्ञान उसे। पर दोनों का गुंथन है, पर दोनों का गुंथन है, वो जुड़े हैं नित एक दूजे से, एक दूजे का सहारा है। ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, उजियारा है, उजियारा है। जो है भीतर वो है बाहर, पिंड में ही ब्रह्मांड बसा है। घर तुमने जाना है खुद को, तो तुमने सब जान लिया है। जो है भीतर वो है बाहर, पिंड में ही ब्रह्मांड बसा है। गर तुमने जाना है खुद को, तो तुमने सब जान लिया है। चेतन ने जाना परमात्मा, चेतन ने जाना परमात्मा, जड़ ने परमाणु जाना है। जो परमोच्च सहारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है। कर विज्ञान से आगे जाए, उतरे हम प्रज्ञान में। कर विज्ञान से आगे जाए, उतरे हम प्रज्ञान में। शक्ति को सहयोगी कर ले, शक्ति को सहयोगी कर ले, हम मानव कल्याण में, हम मानव कल्याण में। केवल अद्भुत नहीं, केवल अद्भुत नहीं, बड़ा सामर्थ्य बसा इस कुंजी में। ये संकल्प हमारा है, ये संकल्प हमारा है, ये संकल्प हमारा है। षड्रिपुओं का उगम स्थान, अज्ञान घोर अंधियारा है। षड्रिपुओं का उगम स्थान, अज्ञान घोर अंधियारा है।
और सुहानी
जागृत कर दे, और सुहानी जागृत कर दे। ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है, ज्ञान मार्ग उजियारा है।
So for the speaker, I request the speaker on making sure that we are not here to attend this talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is the power of our knowledge system, this is the power of our culture, this is the power of our history. You saw the young girls performing that, and actually they have given the 495 pages book, the message they have given in just 10 minutes, what the book talks about. It tells you about Jnana Marga Ujiyara hai, Agyan Ghor Andhera hai. It also talks about Pindi and Brahmandi. It also talks about Gyan, Vigyan and Pragyan. So this book is all about that, Means when, I must tell you that this book, although me and Indu Ramchandani ji have written, it is culmination of hundreds and thousands of thoughts which I have accumulated over the years. Including I learned from my colleagues on this campus, and I still remember, and you will realize that those scientists who have reached to the ultimate in their own career in science, they start thinking more about philosophy. Ordinary scientists may not think about this. So the first exposure about this was when in this very university, when I was interacting with eminent physicists like V.G. Bide. V.G. Bide, during his Vice Chancellor's time, his topic of interest was science and philosophy at that time. So, and then subsequently, when I was working on Ayurveda, my subject is evidence-based Ayurveda. At one point, I was earlier working more on drugs, discovering drugs, but then I realized that this is a very short-sighted approach to Ayurveda. Ayurveda is much more than just drugs, and so I started looking at the basic principles behind Ayurvedic system. And one of them was Tridosh, what we call it as Prakruti, Vata, Pitta. And I hypothesized that this Vata, Pitta has genetic connotation. And but for a science student, just making hypothesis is not enough. We have to really experiment it, test it. So we had a very good team working on rheumatoid arthritis, and at that time the genetics of arthritis are very well known. So we selected one gene, and we could show that the distribution of that gene allele was statistically different in a blind study in Vata Pitta. This was in 2003. First time a solid scientific evidence came in support of our own knowledge system. And that changed my entire outlook to look at science. Because as a science, we are always taught in the reductionist manner. The basic science, philosophy, and knowledge, you explained it very well. Means each one is blind without understanding each other. And on the screen, you could see the saffron color and the light blue color representing science and philosophy. And they are actually telling that unless we come together, this is not possible. So, when this book was conceived at that time, only 2003, while I was actually working in the lab, I was also reading Upanishads. And Ishavasya Upanishad, I got stuck at Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purna Samuchyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevaya Shishya. I said, what is this? This is definition of genome. Exactly, this is definition of genome, because they are telling us this is complete, that is complete. If you remove something from this, what you remove is also complete, because it has a capability to regain, and what remains also is complete. So then I started thinking more about it, and then I started reading also more about it. And then, since that time, this book was brewing in mind. So it is more than 20 years this book was brewing. At that time, I was also in contact with my friend, Professor Alex Hankey, who comes from a Lord family. He is a blue blood Britisher. And Alex and I spent 1 week at Cambridge and discussed this idea with Professor Brian Josephson. I don't know, those definitely who have studied science would know Brian Josephson is a Nobel laureate, one of the youngest Nobel laureate in physics. At that time, his topic of research was, I'm talking about 2006, he was researching on origin of thoughts. And he was completely attracted to Bharatiya Gyan Parampara. As I told you, topmost physicists, not only Brian, but before him also you take Einstein, you take Robert, Oppenheimer, many of them, they got attracted to our philosophy and our knowledge systems. So today Brian is also there, still active in Cambridge, and today's his topic of research is mind-matter unification. That's what his project is about. So why I am giving you these examples, and several such people have contributed to this thought, which finally we could pen down and bring it in form of a book. This book is based on 4 or 5 main themes. First theme is of course Purna. The second theme is Pindi Brahmandi, Purush Prakriti. The third theme is, as a scientist, as a student of science, again I can tell you that not only we are taught in the reductionist fashion, because epistemologies are different, science is based on studying molecules and atoms and all, while our systems are based on the Pancha Mahabhuta which you saw on the screen, and the Tridosha and Dravya Guna Vijnan in Ayurveda, so all the entire, but I got amazed to think that how come when the concept of atoms and molecules was inexistent, how could Ayurvedic scholars must have consumed this idea of rasa, for example, of guna, of dosha? What could have been the basis of this? So the knowledge system entirely is different based on the methodology also. Their knowledge acquiring methodology was also different. So this further gave me the interest in knowing this in little more deeper. So I started discussing this with so many different people. And Sharad Deshpande is one of them, the philosopher. And you will see when you read the book, and we got stuck at many points because I am not a philosopher. I have studied philosophy more when I stayed with him in Shimla for some time, for example. And but I realized that some of the major mistakes which modern science has done, is separating philosophy and science. Second major mistake I won't call it as modern, allopathic medicine has done is separating, for instance, psychology and psychiatry. These are some of the major mistakes we have done. So we have lost the vision of whole. We got trapped into parts. And let me tell you, both are important. Understanding part is equally important, because unless you have understanding of molecules and atoms, you can't really think. Otherwise, this technological development would have not have been possible. So both are important, and that's why you saw on the screen, both are telling you that we have to come together for what purpose? For universal well-being. This is what is the purpose of science. Ultimately, what is the purpose of science and technology? But if you see, all said and done, and we have studied this in great detail, and we have explained this in our book also. All through these days, if you look at the history of science development, and which we have captured in this book, if you look at the history of science, right from Renaissance especially, to Industrial Revolution, to Industry 4.0, you will find that most of the science and technology efforts have gone to satisfy individual greed, individual ego, individual needs and comforts, and less for people, less for nature. So where are we going is the question we raised in this book. And therefore the subtitle came in, Evolving Journey of Modern Science to Meta-Science. And what is meta-science? If you look at, people may know metaphysics, but people don't know meta-science because that term was not in common use. So we had to explain what we mean by meta-science. And we said that meta-science, we are using this term just because we could not find any other rich term to use for pragya. It is not exactly translated, it doesn't capture pragya, but it is closer to that. So meta-science is science of science. That is what Professor Deshpande told you. Meta-science is science of science. It is not only beyond science. So, for instance, in science what we do, we say that we need proof for everything. And what that proof is? Proof, we think that proof is what we can see, sense, with our Panchandri, Panchajnanendri. So what we can see, what we can smell, what we can hear, what we can taste, actually we say that that's the proof. But is it so? That's the question we raised. Because there are so many things today in science. Today we may not be able to measure because of our inadequacy in measurement skills. And if we are not able to measure something in science, what we did, we invented different gadgets as extensions of our sense organs. So we invented microscope. We can't see with naked eyes, we get microscope. If we can't see stars, only we get telescopes. So these are again extensions of sense organs. So we are actually saying that whatever we can measure only is considered as proof. And there I started thinking more. So I categorize. I say that Gyan, and what I am telling you, this is our stand. And I know that there are different opinions about it. And we respect all the opinions. And that's what the beauty of our knowledge system is. On one side, we also respect, Charvaka. We don't deny any, we are open. We have an open knowledge system. So here we are saying Gyan, if we connect Gyan with information and knowledge as Gyan, there is a next step, which is Vigyan. Vigyan, we call it as Vishesha Gyan. Vishesha Gyan. So you deep dive in one particular aspect more, you get into Vigyan. And Vigyan is not necessarily only natural science. That's why I said that our people used to call it a Shastra. Shastra is not actually translation of science in real term. It has a big profound meaning. So Gyan, Vigyan, but there is something else. When we look around, and every day we experience some or the other such experiences, we don't think about it. For instance, when one small mosquito troubles us during night, who teaches that mosquito to really see through your small gaps, come to you, and where to sit and when to suck your blood? Who teaches it? Scientists can tell you, what is the biochemistry behind it, what are the molecular biological facts behind it, how mosquitoes can carry the falciparum and cause malaria, all that. So every living creature is conscious. Consciousness is not only limited to us. Every living cell in our body is conscious. Every living cell knows when to die. Every living cell knows that. So this is Pragyan. Who teaches all this, newly born, any species, where to find food? Who teaches that? So these are the searching questions, which philosophy tries to, and Dr. Naule, actually you explained it very well in short, but you explained this relationship between science and philosophy. And both are incomplete again, unless we really try to understand each other. He said that that's true, that blind. And so that was the Gyan, Vigyan and Pragyan. So there's a journey of modern science to meta science. So what we are saying in the book is, there is a time now for modern science to take a break. And again, modern science, I'm using the term for the term purpose, because I believe that there is nothing like modern. Ultimately, what is modern? Modernity is evolving tradition. Yesterday's tradition becomes today's modernity, and it continues. There is no end to it. So we are saying in this book that it's a time for us to take a pause. And Professor Gosavi is a physicist, so he can appreciate it more, because physics students I have seen and physics researchers go, why meta term first got prefixed to physics? That is because physicists actually started thinking beyond science boundaries, crossing the boundaries of thoughts. That's what, and that's why Einstein, if you look at Einstein, some of the quotes, which we have in the book, you get astonished, And many of them got attracted to our own knowledge systems. Not only Gita, but the whole. Gita, of course, Oppenheimer was talking about, and he actually could feel internally, because science, we can experiment and we can get experience through experimentation. But how about intuition? How about insights? How about Anubhuti, Anubhav and Anubhuti? How do you really differentiate them? And how can scientists get Anubhuti? They can get experience, Anubhav. But how about Anubhuti? So these are the searching questions actually we have raised in this book. You will find that there are more questions in this book. We have tried to keep this book agnostic as possible. We have not taken any side. We have given all the information which is available practically till July 2024. Book was published in August. And we have left it to the audience or readers to make your own judgment, to make your own opinions. And these questions are several questions. So we have given a very exhaustive portrait of evolution of modern science. 10,000 years history we have captured in this chapter. But then we also realize that while science is evolving, it has also its perils. So which are those perils? Today we read and listen about only maybe artificial intelligence, the threat it is creating. And many top people actually, including the recent Nobel laureate, this year's Nobel laureate is expressing worries about the way in which artificial intelligence is going to move. So these reflections you will find in this book. And then we are coming back to origin of universe. And for that purpose we have taken help of all our ancient knowledge systems. Nasadiya Sutta. And the whole we have just introduced in this chapter but not discussed here. And in this chapter you will see that right from Big Bang to today. And we are saying that today we are witnessing the fourth Big Bang. The first Big Bang we don't know when it actually happened, which we believe that created universe. The second Big Bang, according to us in the book what we have written, is when Alfred Nobel invented TNT, the first explosive. And devastation due to that, it was so startling that finally he went into peace and established Nobel Prize. The third Big Bang was, of course, Manhattan Project. And he also got Nobel Prize, Robert Oppenheimer. But he also equally worried about what is going to happen. So you saw that movie also, you may have seen. And the Gita Shlok, I would not know, but Swamiji can recite. You want to say that? No. So, this is what happened. And the fourth Big Bang now. Fourth Big Bang is coming to us by way of a combination of, in book what we called it as nano, bio and information technology, in which the artificial intelligence is there, the nanobot like technologies which are coming very scary, which are there, and also the CRISPR technology, which is gene editing technology is coming. If you combine these three, and just imagine, if we go in wrong direction, what is going to happen to this world? You will be sleepless. I can tell you that. So we are actually on the verge of the fourth Big Bang, and therefore we are saying that there is a time now to take a pause and look back. Which trajectory we want to take? Where do we want to go? For what purpose science and technology we should really use? Can any business which is based on agonies of people be sustainable? For instance, today pharmaceutical business is completely based on agony of people. Can it be sustainable? We have to find a different route, and that route we are saying that might come if we have the science learning from meta-science, or science evolving into meta-science, which is more focused on universal well-being and peace. And we are saying that for that purpose we have to evolve as meta-society. And for evolving meta-society, science needs to evolve into modern science. And ultimately we are saying, we are today in Anthropocene. What do we mean by Anthropocene? We were in Holocene as epoch. But 2022, Nature published an article and declared that we have entered already in Anthropocene. We were not hoping that we will be soon in Anthropocene. But why we are in Anthropocene? One of the many reasons is the total mass on this earth of human-made mass on the earth, which means plastic, concrete, etc., has exceeded in 2022. It has become more than total biomass on this campus, on this earth. Imagine what disaster it is going to be. So total weight of your trees, plants, animals, birds, everything put together, concrete, plastic is even more heavier than that on this earth. So where are we heading? This is what we are saying, that we have to now try to bypass this Anthropocene, try to take at least a pause, if not reverse, and get into Om scene. We are portraying this Om scene as a new epoch, which will bring science, philosophy and spirituality together. And therefore I am very happy that Bhaktivedanta team is here. Because I respect that work extremely, because Prof. Bhosle was telling me now that the way in which they are working, in the community to bring more awareness about several things which are ingrained in our own culture. That work is phenomenal. Just 2 weeks ago I was in Sydney and I visited Ramakrishna Mission there, and I met a Swami who is chief of Ramakrishna Mission, who reviewed that book in Sydney, by the way. He said actually that Vivekananda said that best of the East and best of the best from the West should come together for the universal well-being. That's the message. And then I asked Swami, what are you doing? At age of 99, he said that this year we are establishing Vivekananda College in Sydney, and within 5 years there will be Vivekananda University in Sydney. At 99 years, people can think of this, it doesn't come from, and he himself is an outstanding physicist. So so this is about all. In the book we have also talked about not only genetics but also epigenetics. And I believe that a lot of us are what we are because of the samskars what we get. And samskars don't start actually only when we are born. They start much before that. And this is what now epigenetics is telling us. It is not just genetic sequence, but the environment around will decide what you will become. So we hope that this book, so Gyan, Vigyan, Pragyan, this is a new message we are trying to give it. I also must tell you that in the prologue of this book, we have elaborated, because many times people think modern science to meta science means we are trying something mystic. There is nothing to do with mysticism. This is absolutely a rational, agnostic, scientific book, but going or trying to understand the science of science, which comes from. I thought that we should talk about our own knowledge system, and this is not a Hindu book. This is not Indian book. This is a global book, because we have discussed philosophies from all over, cultures from all over, civilizations from all over. Knowledge has no boundaries. And you will see that these reflections in the starting from prologue, this book has 2 forewords. The first foreword is given by one of the top scientists, Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar. And the second foreword is given by my mentor, and Girish is also sitting here. Both of us have been mentored by him. His name is Dr. Gururaj Mutali. His age today is 96. He was first professor of medicine at Vizag Medical College. And then he became director of WHO, retired from New York office, settled in USA now. Dr. Mutali, because of his upbringing and sanskar at home, while he is excellent in modern or allopathic medicine, he is equally good in Ayurveda yoga. He himself is a yogi. He is a blessed soul. And he has given this forward, and there are 26 endorsements to this book, because we shared pre-publication copy with 26 outstanding individuals from all over the world. And some of the names will be familiar to you. The first endorsement came from Dr. Kasturi Rangan. Then from our own Dr. Vijay Bhatkar, Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanetkar, and several such others. Professor Vikas Sukhatne, who is one of the top Indians in US, who was earlier Dean of Harvard. He was invited by Emory University. Today he is Dean of Medical Sciences at Emory University. And his father was also a mentor for me, Professor P.V. Sukhatne, who established Interdisciplinary School of Health Sciences on this campus. So you will see that these 26 endorsements also are very interesting reads. So in addition, the book you will find a glossary because we have not explained all the terms which we have used, because we thought that will be little divergent for the main topic. But use, for example, Brahman. We can't explain Brahman, in the book. It's such a profound concept. But in the glossary, you will find that we have used these Sanskrit words. I try to explain them more. And this book is published by Blue One Ink, who is one of the. And we selected Blue One Ink over other publishers because although number of books they have published is less, they have published a very solid stuff. So book is now being very well received. Yesterday I was in Delhi and Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, VIPS, in Delhi. There this was discussed, and Professor Mahadevan from IIM Bangalore, as well as MD Srinivas. I respect him so much. MD Srinivas' work, if you have not read, is such a scholar on Indian systems of knowledge. He was there, and tomorrow I will be going to Delhi again because the Ministry of Ayush has organized a major international event in which almost 30 countries are getting represented. It will be inaugurated by our Chief Justice Dhananjay Chandrachud, and this book will be presented to him tomorrow in Delhi. It has received excellent reception from all over, and I'm sure if you go through, you will at least be curious to know more about it. And if we think that if the readers are made curious to even think more, that's the purpose of the book will be fulfilled. What we have tried, as I told you, is just a small drop in the large ocean of knowledge. But what we have tried is try to make that drop as pure as possible. Thank you very much.
ಸಣ್ಣ ಬಿಡಿದೆ ಮೇನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಜೀತೆಲ್ಲ
Thank you very much, sir. We would have loved to listen our Honorable Vice Chancellor on his decision, but he is already saying that chairperson would talk on this. We have actually, sir, just to give you brief information, as you mentioned in your talk that Ayurveda and Tridusha. So we have got one PhD candidate with us who is present in the hall, who has done MD in Ayurveda.
Yes, of course he is also.
And he was continuously visiting our department. He has a lot of hopes from philosophy departments, so that he will be able to prove Tridosha in a scientific way. So he is studying. He has recently submitted PhD. I happen to be his supervisor.
Very good. So congratulations to both of you. Sachin, well done.
So this type of experiment we do in our department, definitely. We have been mentored by our teacher, Professor Deshpande. So that in the beginning we missed to give brief introduction of Professor. I'll take just 5 minutes to introduce Professor Deshpande because the audience might not be knowing I am his student, and I would like to tell that we were attending his lectures very regularly maybe, and
in this room.
It was a classroom before, which has been converted into auditorium, and it is converted into auditorium only by his vision. Everything kept here according to his vision, and immediately after creation of this hall, he retired. So we are more than happy to have him here in this newly painted hall. Sir, recently we have painted it and kept it well. So what memory I want to share with you is that Professor Deshpande always used to scold us. We belong to that time where we used to call Chadi Vaje Cham Cham Vidya Ye Gam Gam. So he had been trained us. And I remember always, and I tell with very pride that he used to call us, "Hey, Narmadetle Gote Ahe." And we are very happy, still, because I also go often to meet him, and some scolding if I receive, then I make some improvement, So that is very important. And he has, boulders of Narmada, okay? Those who don't understand, Gota, so it's a boulder of Narmada. Narmada is a very, sacred river. We feel honored, even by that. So thank you very much, sir. I'll briefly, go through his biography so that people will know our chairperson. Currently, Professor Deshpande is the National Fellow, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi. He is a visiting professor in Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi. He was Tagore Fellow I think he is Tagore Fellow at Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Simla. And he is also visiting fellow, British Council, UK. Professor Deshpande has lectured at the University of Liverpool, Aberdeen and Oxford. He is also visiting fellow under Indo-French exchange program at Maison de Sciences de la Home, Paris. Former professor of the head of the Department of Savitribai Phule Pune University. His teaching and research career in philosophy spans over 40 years. His areas of interest include 20th century Indian philosophy and philosophy, philosophy of history, philosophy of action. He is a recipient of R.D. Ranade Prize for the best PhD thesis in philosophy titled A Critical Examination of Gautpada's Mandukya Karika. And I think his quote is also there in Genome and Om in this text. Some of his major research work include causation, explanation and understanding, which has been, I think, published by our department journal section, development of model concepts of different socio-cultural settings and nature of omission. His current research includes philosophy of colonial India by tracing the emergence of modern philosophy in the social and political milieu of colonial India. So the extended biodata is there, but due to the scarcity of my mind, here, and definitely this hall is already enlightened by the Professor Bhushan Patwardhan's very erudite talk. Now I call upon the chairperson, Professor Deshpande, to sir, you say that.
2 मिनिटं आपण बसले जरा डिस्कशन काही चालेल
सर्व समजून जातं काय मिळालं
काय नक्की काय करायचं चालू
हॅलो Is this too loud? Thanks, Harish, for inviting me to this occasion. I am always very happy to come to the department, to the university. And I am especially very happy today because my friend Bhushan Patwardhan's book is being presented here and is also likely to be discussed in future in this department itself under some good seminar, and I hope we will grant some seminar grant for this. Well, lots of memories pop up, but I would not go into that memory lane right now. Let me go to the book itself. See, every book gives a message, and every book tells a story. So, what is the story which this book, this is in my hand, Genome to Om, what does this book tells, which story it tells, and which message it gives? This is one thing. This is one way to approach this book. Another way to approach this book is with this dictum that once the book is in the market, or once the book is given away by the author, then it is no more the property of the author. It is the property of the reader. Now, this is the latest philosophical understanding of text, of text and interpretation. So, every reader has his freedom to interpret the book the way he or she understands it. So, and also, of course, the author here, he also does not expect that our interpretation of the book should tally with his writing spirit. That is the thing. Now, I'll just take two more incidences. He mentioned about our Shimla stay, and he mentioned about Indian philosophy. Of course, he is very generous, and to friends or even those who are not his friends, he is more generous. But I remember one incident, and I take this liberty to share it with all of you in public. It was long ago in Pondicherry. We had gone to Pondicherry, and in the morning, early morning, I was taking the tea. So I asked my wife, "Where is Bhushan?" Then she said, "Oh, he's not in his room." So we just went outside the room, and in the balcony we saw those who have gone to Pondicherry, and especially the seashore, they'll find that the seashore and the buildings, there is just one small road. So I found a person sitting in the seashore, sitting at the seashore with with the folded legs. So I said, "Oh, he is Bhushan." So we went there, and after that we discussed philosophy. That was the real philosophical discussion I had with him in Pondicherry. See, it's always I always tell philosophy students that you should have at least one friend from science discipline. He may be a physicist, he may be a botanist, he may be a chemist, whosoever he may be, but a philosophy student must have a friend from some science department, and that helps both. That's one thing. In continuation with this point, I'll also mention one point, and then I'll come to the book. See, I was out of curiosity, I was reading all the Nobel citations given to scientists and literary persons. I discovered two very interesting things. See, we always know about Einstein, and we talk about Einstein and his Nobel Prize. Einstein was not given Nobel Prize as far as that citation is concerned, the official citation. Einstein was not given Nobel Prize for physics. He was given Nobel Prize for philosophical foundations of physics, for providing philosophical foundations for physics, which has great implications in understanding matter. That is one. And now conversely, I found, just to complement this, I found another very interesting citation that was given to a French philosopher called Henri Bergson. And he was given Nobel Prize not for philosophy, but for providing a new scientific paradigm for understanding time. So here are these two instances. Philosopher is given a Nobel Prize for contributing to science, and a scientist is given a Nobel Prize for contributing to physics, philosophy. So this shows that there is no schism between science and philosophy. Both are connected with one another in many different ways, and this book brings out that point. So I will say that this book brings its readers to a crossroad. What is the crossroad? The crossroad at which right now humanity stands, the crossroad between science and philosophy, crossroad between logos and Indian conception of darshan. So this is the great merit of this book, that it brings the reader at the crossroad. Otherwise, all routine books, they just put the reader on some trodden path. See, so there is not big deal about it. But the book which brings its reader to a crossroad, to its intersecting point, now that intersecting point enables the reader to look at both the sides. This is the thing. Now, as I said, what story does this book tells? Now, this book tells the story of the development of science in many different fields. So I will not narrate which fields this book actually covers. There are, as he said, it covers a long span of the history of science. So this is the story of that. But what is the message it gives? That message it gives is that we have to distinguish between transition. Transition is going from one stage to another. Okay? So we have to distinguish between transition and transformation. Now this book, this is the message, that this book talks about transformation. Transformation from body to mind, transformation from science to philosophy, transformation from body to, from materiality to spirituality. Now, in the transition, where he talks about different changes that has taken place in different areas of science, beneath this transition, there are transformations, and the job of philosophy is to bring forth these transformations. Transformation is it's bringing out a qualitative change. It's bringing out one step above the normal thing. So this book is basically, in my reading, is a book which emphasizes on this transformative character of a proper understanding of science. Science has both these sides. Science is a two-edged sword. It cuts, but it also heals. Okay? So this healing aspect of science is generally overlooked. Now, Indian philosophy, because its presuppositions, as he rightly pointed out, the presuppositions of Indian philosophy are very different from presuppositions of philosophy in the West. Now, these presuppositions take the other side of the science. In fact, I may share one small memory. When Ram Tapale was Vice Chancellor, I went to him once and I said that, have you read this book? So I took one book with me. That book was written by an eminent sociologist, Ashish Nandi, and the name of the book is The Other Side of the Science. So I told, and I had very good relations with him too. So I said, this book should be taught and discussed in physics department of Pune University. So, but I mean, somehow it did not happen. That's a different story. But the other side of science is a big, area of understanding for all these years. And this book takes us many steps. I won't say one step further. I'll say this book takes us many steps further in that direction of understanding the other side of the science, which comes back to the basic question, a transition or a transformation from what is to why such and such. So this why question is something, why after all we are here? This is an existential question. Why this? Why this universe at all? No? Now what happens in this universe is the realm of science to explain this. But why something there at all? Why this and why not that? So these existential questions are philosophical questions, and this book at many pages always falls back on these questions, and therefore I am very happy to say anything about this book on any platform. And so I am very much impacted by this book. So I highly recommend that first you buy this book in your departmental library, in Jaipur Library, and also arrange a seminar on the idea of this book. I would not say on this book, but the ideas this book discusses, you have a seminar on this. So thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor, Bhushan.
Now, floor is open for a small discussion. Yeah, if Bhosle sir wants to share, or Chitore sir, yeah.
The first day I attended you, I came for my session after your session when sir was talking at that time in MIT World Pass Day. So I listened, but somehow since I came late, I missed your talk, but I listened to sir and your co-author. So that day I think Kumar sir and me, or I think we were there earlier. Next day I attended. So I was asking this one question, that spelling of OM, can you Can you just comment on it? Normally we write it is AUM.
AUM.
So
No, very
if
good.
not, there must be some very solid reason.
That's a very good question. And AUM we have discussed in the book. So in the book when we talk about Om, we spell it as AUM. This was more for a aesthetic purpose, you know. Genome and Om. We wanted to bring in that
What it is,
Yeah, but
basically AUM only.
AUM is the right spelling, and that we have explained in the book that the real thing is AUM, but in the book we have used it as.
I have not read it, I just scanned few pages.
Yeah.
बेसिकली भक्तिवेदांत रिसर्च सेंटर की तरफ से हम लोग कई दिन से कर रहा था। स्पेसिफिकली गीता में एक श्लोक है कि राजविद्या राजगुह्यम पवित्रम इदम उत्तमम। तो एक्चुअली आई एम अ पेंट टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट एंड जब मैं 20 साल का था तभी मैं इस्कॉन के कांटेक्ट में आया। और जैसे सर ने भी बताया था कि हर एक जो साइंस है उसका अपना एक तरीका होता है पढ़ने का। फिलोसॉफी पढ़ना है तो कुछ अलग ये होता है, बात होता है। बायोलॉजी पढ़ने तो उसका एक अलग अपना एक मार्ग होता है। इंग्लिश ग्रामर सीखते हैं तो उसका एक अलग होता है। हमारा गलती ये होता है कि हम फिलोसॉफी के कुछ परिणाम उसी एंगल से हम लोग स्पिरिचुअल में देखने से बोलते हैं और ये बोलते हैं कि ये बराबर नहीं, ये गलत है। तो अभी हम इस्कॉन में ज्वाइन किया तो पता चला कि राजविद्या राजगुह्यम पवित्रम इदम उत्तमम, ये सब गीता इज द मास्टर ऑफ साइंस ऐसा क्यों लिखा है। मैं पेंट टेक्नोलॉजी था, 19 साल में मैं टाटा मोटर्स में पेंट शॉप इंजीनियर करके ज्वाइन किया था। और इस्कॉन के अपने कुछ एक परिणाम है सिखाने के, कुछ उनका एक पाथ है। तो स्पिरिचुअलिटी सिखाने के लिए 4 डूज और 4 डोंट्स पहले सिखाया जाता है। तो 4 डूज के लिए बोला जाता है कि ये बोलते हैं कि ABCD आप एसोसिएशन भक्तों के साथ करो। B स्टैंड फॉर बुक रीडिंग, आप गीता भागवत रामायण पढ़ो, क्योंकि सोशली सेंसिटिवनेस जो होता है वो भगवत की उन्होंने बोला कि सोशली सेंसिटिवनेस रामायण से आता है। रामायण हमें हाउ टू लिव सिखाएगा, महाभारत हमें पॉलिटिकली अलर्टनेस देगा, वो हमें हाउ टू लीड सिखाएगा। और श्रीमद् भागवतम हमें स्पिरिचुअल एब्जॉर्बेंस देगा, वो हमें हाउ टू लव सिखाएगा। सो लिव लीड एंड लव ये 360 एस्पेक्ट ऑफ लाइफ है। तो इसलिए बुक रीडिंग बोला गया था। C स्टैंड फॉर चैंटिंग और D स्टैंड फॉर दहामनिवास एंड डाइट। तो इस प्रकार के 4 चीजें हमको सिखाई और 4 चीजें उन्होंने बोला कि डोंट्स है, नो इलिसिट सेक्स, नो गैम्बलिंग, नो इंटॉक्सिकेशन एंड नो मीट ईटिंग। मांसाहार नहीं करना है क्योंकि ममेक अंश जीवलोके जीवभूते सनातने, भगवान सभी जीवों में अंश के रूप में बैठे हैं। शब्देति ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति शब्दते, इस प्रकार का श्लोक श्रीमद् भागवत में है। क्योंकि परम सत्य चराचर में ब्रह्मेति, चराचर में पर ब्रह्म के रूप में बैठे हैं। शब्देति ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति शब्दते, हर एक के हृदय में परमात्मा के रूप में बैठा है और वो मंदिर में भगवान भी करके बैठे हैं। तो इस प्रकार 360 एस्पेक्ट ओवरऑल वसुदेव कुटुंब का एस्पेक्ट हमने दिया है कि जीव मात्र में जब पशु पक्षी लता वेली और सब जीव मात्र ये भगवान की अंश है, क्योंकि हृदय में उनके परमात्मा बैठा है। निर्जीव वस्तु है उसमें भी भगवान का अंश है, क्योंकि भगवान का प्रकाश का ब्रह्म तेज का प्रकाश है और उसके अलावा भगवान बैठे भी है। तो इतना सीधा एस्पेक्ट उन्होंने सिखाया था। और तब मैं सोच रहा था कि ये विज्ञान के साथ इसके कैसे कोरिलेट करूं। और बाद में when I was 19 years old I was joined as a paint shop engineer in Tata Motors. Then at the age of 23 only they have selected me for Mercedes Benz के प्रोजेक्ट के लिए। उन्होंने मुझे जर्मनी के लिए भेज दिया। तो जाने के पहले इंटरव्यू वगैरह कई सारे लोगों का लिया था और मुझे एक बार मेरे बॉस आए और उन्होंने बोला कि आपको तिलक लगा के आते हो, तिलक गले में माला भी है आपकी, तो जर्मनी जाने के पहले आपको ये माला निकालना पड़ेगा और तिलक थोड़ा सा उधर जाना है यूरोप में तो ऐसा तिलक वगैरह लगा के नहीं जाना पड़ेगा। तो पता नहीं मैं वहीं से आया था और मैंने बोला सर कंपनी में तो 20,000 लोग हैं, मेरी अपनी एक लाइफस्टाइल है, मेरे लिए पुणे ही जर्मनी जैसा है और टाटा मोटर्स ही बेंज जैसा है, तो आप उन लोगों को सिलेक्ट करिए, मुझे मत करिए, क्योंकि मेरा अपना एक लाइफस्टाइल है। लोगों का शराब पीने के लिए शर्म नहीं आता है, सिगरेट पीने के लिए शर्म नहीं आता है, तो मैं अपना तिलक लगा के कृष्ण का आता हूँ तो उसमें मुझे शर्म नहीं आता है, मुझे प्राउड फील होता है। तो तब उन्होंने अपने चेहरे पे उठकर मुझे गले लगाया था और उन्होंने बोला था इसलिए आपका सिलेक्शन हुआ है क्योंकि आपके पास एक कैरेक्टर है और ये कैरेक्टर की वजह से आप अच्छा स्टडी करोगे, बाकी जाके जर्मन में अपना टाइम अलग काम में बिताएंगे। तो ये साइंस और स्पिरिचुअलिटी का काफी अच्छा संगम मुझे या मेरे पर्सनल जीवन में देखने के लिए मिला कि किस प्रकार मॉडर्न एजुकेशन हमें स्किल्स देता है, वैदिक एजुकेशन हमें कैरेक्टर देता है, मॉडर्न एजुकेशन हमें डायनामिज्म देता है, वैदिक एजुकेशन हमें विजडम देता है, मॉडर्न एजुकेशन हमें विजय की भावना देती है, वैदिक एजुकेशन हमें विनयशीलता देता है, मॉडर्न एजुकेशन हमें तंत्र यंत्र देगा, वैदिक एजुकेशन हमें मंत्र भी सिखाता है। तो उद्देश्य कार्य के पीछे हमारा जो है वो स्पिरिचुअलिटी सिखाना है। शायद यही किताब में सर में और अच्छा लिखा होगा और हमें अच्छा गाइडेंस मिलेगा उससे। तो मुझे भी अच्छा लगा कि सर आपने इतना अच्छा किताब उसके ऊपर लिखा है। भक्ति वेदांत रिसर्च सेंटर के तरफ से मैं भी आपको शुभकामनाएं।
Thank you so much, sir, for this enlightening talk. Actually, I have few questions. My name is Sita Chavan, and I have done my MPhil and PhD in this department. And my question is, while listening to you, you said that you talked about Anubhuti and Anubhav. So I really want to know what Anubhuti is, according to you. And one more question is, you talked about, you said something that you used this word meta science.
Material to meta science.
Yeah, meta science. So these are really basic questions, but then I have curiosity to know. So what is the difference between metaphysics and meta science? How do you define it? Thank you.
Oh, very good question. But first, metaphysics and meta science, this distinction, we have detailed discussions in the book. So I recommend you read that book. The Anubhuti part, what you talked about, means in science, typically laboratory-based experimental science, we don't understand this, quite frankly. And Anubhuti is very individual. Like I come from health sciences and we say that evidence-based medicine. Evidence is, we say that which are the current methods of evidence, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial. So if your drug stands at that evidence, then we say that it has evidence-based. But when the question comes in that is it the real evidence? Because many of these clinical trials are today non-reproducible. So what kind of evidence we are talking about? So science will create experimental basis for evidence, but Anubhuti is insight, which is very, very individual. I cannot explain you my Anubhuti, your Anubhuti will be entirely different than what my Anubhuti is. And therefore in medicine also we say that the best level of evidence is Swayam Anubhuti. For instance, if you are benefited by something which Bhosleji is doing with his various cow products, and if you get benefit, you will say, I don't care whether it has double-blind placebo-controlled evidence or not. I have got benefit. So this is very individual. Second, Anubhuti, for getting Anubhuti, you need preparations. It doesn't come automatically. You will have to really, so you will have to, you may get Anubhuti through your meditative efforts. And meditation is not necessarily going in cave or in forest to do some jump or something. Meditation is getting consciously connected with your own work, what you are doing. And therefore you will find two examples only I'll give, and we have given it in the book, so for details you can read in the book. The first example I'll give is of Professor Gauss. He's a famous mathematician, German self-taught mathematician. He never went into any school, but Friedrich Gauss is considered to be one of the authoritative men. When he was asked from where he derived those equations, he said that I already knew. He already knew what he derived. So what he worked on is how those will be working. And second example is our own Ramanujan. Again a mathematician, he knew what he derived earlier. So then he proved by using methods what he did. So this is completely intuition. You read about Einstein, Einstein will tell you intuition plus major discoveries, I will tell you, major path-breaking discoveries have not come through scientific experiments in the lab. They are tools, they are important, but major discoveries have come through intuition. And this modern science is not able to understand even today how it comes. Today, because of better understanding of quantum physics and our understanding of how thinking happens, this little bit of work is going in that direction. Like people like Brian is working on it now to understand that. So quantum physics is emerging as a bridge, I would say, in between the Anubhav and Anubhuti, for explanation point of view. Thank you. Yes. There are so many hands, yes.
Yeah, congratulations for this. I have two questions. First question is, does this book discuss the problem in philosophy and psychology, which is say the hard problem of consciousness? And second question I had that most of the times when we are discussing the dangers of AI, even Yuval Noah Harari talks about it, not just employment or what will happen, but it threatens the human existence. So do we have own solution to the...
Yes, actually that is what the book tells you. The home scene which we have portrayed in the last chapter, and there we have discussed this, how it can help. Not only it will help you, but we are also telling how it can help you. And before going to that, we have raised these questions also of our own existence. Who am I? What is my identity? What are the levels of identity? Is biological identity, physical identity, social identity, virtual identity? What are we? Who are we? So these are Upanishadic questions. So we have Aitariya Upanishad, Prajnanam Brahma was one of the base for this book also. And the other questions about who am I, we have discussed these threadbare, but we have discussed in such a way that you will not feel that as if you are reading Upanishad. Because very few people otherwise, there are several books on Upanishads. But how many people can read it and understand it? So we are trying to put it in the contemporary language, which and about AI, yes, there is a very good discussion about AI. And actually, as I told you in the beginning, in the book we are calling AI combined with nano and biotechnology as the fourth explosion. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. It was very enlightening. I just wanted to know whether it was consciously entitled as Genome to Om and not as Om to Genome.
I actually, I did not talk about it in the beginning, but Girish will remember. First, I think 15 years of this book. This book was conceived first in 2003 on Vaishak Purnima. We have still remember. And this book also, as I told you, this book is not my own creation or my own or co-author's creation. This has come out, this has evolved. And several people have contributed to it. And at that time, the name of the book was Om to Genome. The first book, those who have interacted with me, even Dhumal sir will remember that time I was talking about Om to Genome. But as it progressed, I realized that this direction of Om to Genome is not correct. Genome should go back to Om, not the other way.
Maybe the last question.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, no, we'll take one more. Okay.
So philosophy is the mother of sciences.
Yes.
Well, science is just a tool, or more precisely, a contemporary tool, the most popular one today. So when we say bringing philosophy and science together, like talking of philosophy on par with science, are we somewhere downgrading the status of philosophy?
That I will leave it to philosophers to answer.
No, see, this question, it can be answered in this way. See, what is the relationship between philosophy and science? Is it the relationship between husband and wife, or mother and child?
I see science as one of the tools of philosophy.
No, philosophy has only one tool, and that is questioning. That's the only tool philosophy has.
Yeah.
Philosophy,
Very well said.
Philosophy has no other tool. Okay. So the relationship between philosophy and science is, it's not the straightway relation, as I explained at the beginning. See, therefore I gave these two examples of a scientist getting a Nobel Prize for philosophical contribution, and a philosopher getting a Nobel Prize for providing a scientific framework for understanding the nature of time. Okay, so this explains the relationship between philosophy and science, and also takes care of your tool part of it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. But very interesting question. Let me tell you that philosophy and science, they were not separated earlier. Even today, we give doctor of PhD. What is PhD?
Yes, doctor of philosophy.
So even physics student or medical student or even biotechnology student, PhD will be in philosophy. Although they may not know philosophy.
That is the fun.
So we separated it out. We separated science even from art. You won't, you probably may not know, I didn't know, but earlier science was considered as art. So if you look at the old scientists, even in India, what was the name for scientists in India, do you know? It was Kaviraj. Kaviraj Gadanath Sen, one of the outstanding medical researchers from Bengal, who invented Reserpine from Sarpagandha. He used to call it as Kaviraj. I also didn't know till such time we did a lot of research on this book, that earlier BA in UK, Britain, BA in chemistry, BA in physics, Bachelor of Arts was the degree in science. And then we separated it out. This is all colonial impact which we are facing even today, and therefore we see that we are actually facing a monocultural dominance in our mind.
Just to
mathematics.
No, just to add to this point which he has raised. See, in England, in UK, till the beginning of late 18th century, philosophy was officially called as science was officially called as natural philosophy.
Science was
natural philosophy, and philosophy was officially called as moral science. That is just to add to
Sir, thank you for this enlightening. Sir, it's a comment and a question as well, that the very word Om or the term Om represents the principle of integrated consciousness. And this integrated consciousness has two aspects, that is the objective consciousness and the subjective consciousness. So my question is that do you think that meta-science would be able to discover the reflexive side of the consciousness and the subjective consciousness? And in my opinion, it is only philosophy and spirituality can discover that subjective structure of the consciousness, and science or meta-science can only discover the objective structure of the consciousness. And Om as a principle of integrated consciousness is the holistic principle in such a manner that science may not be able to discover that. This is just, so do you think that science would be able to catch or capture what one student said, the hard problem of consciousness? So soft problem of consciousness can be solved by science, but do you think that hard problem of consciousness, that is the subjective first person experience of anything, can be structured by the science itself?
It's very difficult to tell now because science is also evolving. Subjective, objective, these are our differentiations, and it goes in the same line I talked about experience and insights, or intuition, or anubhav and anubhuti. These are the relationship. Ultimately, consciousness also, and in the book we have discussed consciousness at great length in different chapters. But even today, we are not able to really exactly figure out how do we really say that consciousness, because the consciousness word, and the description of similar concepts in Vedanta are so different, and you won't find exactly matching translations for this for these terminologies. So you will find in the book we have explained everywhere. Whenever we are using term consciousness, we are also discussing various sides of that and telling them that this is not completely capturing the essence of what Darshan Shastra or Vedantic concepts are telling it to us. Our concepts, I have realized, are so profound that it is very difficult to capture them in a particular language here. And with subjective and objective science, I don't know today, you know. And in this book, we have given some references of the recent science fiction. We are raising actually a question in this book that if yesterday's science fiction has become today's reality, and it is so. Look at Star Wars. You know, when Star Wars was released, I was young in a school. You know, who thought that this kind of space travel will be possible? Nobody could imagine. Today it has become reality. Sunita Williams will come. No. So this is reality today. So we are raising this question. If yesterday's science fiction can become today's science, why not? We can look at even mythology as sources of new ideas. You may argue whether Ramayana was epic or history, or Mahabharata was epic or history, you know? But you can't ignore the ideas in Mahabharata. Even imagining that somebody can fly, forget about there were aeroplanes or not. Imagining that somebody can fly and somebody can go from one concept of loka itself, capturing it, you know. Why can't we take ideas? Why can't we take ideas from, you know? So this is what this book also talks about. So I think now we should give it back to.
Yeah, I think after tea break we can have more discussion. Okay, it's in pleasure.
And we are going to have one more international conference.
Sure. On behalf of Savitribai Phule Pune University, okay, it's a really good opportunity to interact Professor Bhushan Patwardhan. It's indeed pleasure to listen him. Today I got sandwiched between two people, one philosopher. And I mean, this particular book has come at right time, and now we are going in the right direction. Being a physicist, I always believe on time and a direction because we always look at the vector. So, in the light of national education policy, I think, okay, like there is a lot of discussion happening at the college level, okay, what our students from social sciences, okay, when they wanted to take another course in the science stream. I think this is the book which will give them a direction, okay, like how this particular book will bring the gap between philosophy and science, okay. It is always thin because we are always talking about who is the first. I think both are together. And we have to really understand each other so that, okay, the dominance goes away. But always philosophers will say, okay, they are the first one. But on the other hand, as Professor Bhushan Patwardhan has rightly mentioned that, well, it's the evolution of modern science and the fourth Big Bang, which is talking about nanobiotechnology. And this interface is really important. Even though I come from physics, I had an opportunity to have an interaction with Vijay Bide, then Professor Ram Takole, and with his interaction, okay, he will always say, okay, there are three reasons. One, and it won't come to two, okay. So like you always get stuck in one itself because it's so long. Similarly, when Professor Takole will start discussing, okay, like then after 3 hours he will ask you the question what I said in the beginning, so you have to listen very carefully. So this is what the people, okay, who interacted each other from this team. And as the sir has said, okay, like there should be people from philosophy should interact with science, but it's other way. I think those people should also come down to this building and have an interaction. I think this is what
there is no Deshpande in physics department.
So so basically in the discussion, as he has also talked about the new applications of this nanobiotechnology, where we are talking about the drug discovery, drug delivery with the CRISPR technology and CAR technology. I think this is what the applications and the outcome of the book, okay, which people can really appreciate in the due course of time. I think this is the a good initiative, and I think more discussion on this has to happen, and I think this is the way I think we have to reach to the society so that they understand science and spirituality. It's not so science and philosophy. On behalf of Savitribai Phule Pune University, I thank Bhakti Vedanta Research Center officials to bring everyone together on the same platform to understand there is no gap, we are together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed to the formal vote of thanks, I want to take just 1 minute. Sir, I have two demands. I will take this opportunity to place demands. One for my students and one for my department. We teach bioethics and philosophical problems of healthcare. We train our students in ethics in the healthcare. So, and there is high demand all over India, maybe globally, that ethical treatment has to take place. There are many ethical issues. So, since Professor Bhushan Patwardhan and Professor Honorable Vice Chancellor is there, they are influential person. They go in the many committees. If you can create some job opportunity as a consultation, then the philosophy MA student can be on the board of ethical committees of these medical hospitals. That would be great, for the society. Definitely for my students, but for the society as well, it will be great. And sir, our second demand, that's first demand. My second demand is that IPP is celebrating its golden jubilee. So we may need some, some dravya, I would say. Professor Deshpande, who was present there for the first publication, 50 years back. So this is a good opportunity, I would like to say. And many my friends are here on a very short notice, like HOD Botany Department, Nadab sir, then HOD Mathematics Department, then Joshi sir, then again another professor from mathematics, and then from my friend from physics from SP department. He came here all the way to attend, and my friend Vaibhav Jadhav is also attending this lecture. Thank you very much. In very short notice you came. Only three things I want to again lastly share, that Indian philosophy, overarching principle of Indian philosophy is service utana santu, service santu niramaya. That's what Professor Patwardhan was telling. And how it is proceeded, like in the beginning we started with Athato Dharma Jignasa, where we talked about Mimamsa. Then we came to Athato Brahma Jignasa, where we talked about Vyashti, like Om or Genome. And now I think in this session we have started Athato Vijnan and Prajnan Jignasa. So I think we take it ahead and definitely we will make it happen that in this direction we will proceed. Now I call upon Professor Dumas sir to formally present a vote of thanks. Thank you very much.
भगवद्गीता द्यायचे सगळ्यांना आणलं की ते भगवद्गीता आणलं भोसले सर. So before vote of thanks, I will do present duty. I request Sanjay Bhosle sir, Vice President of ISKCON and Admin Director of BRC, to give Bhagavad Gita to all the dignitaries on the dais. We have specially brought for them from the temple.
And I must tell you that in the preface we have written this, that this book draws substantially from Bhagavad Gita, substantially from Upanishads and Patanjali Yoga Sutra. These are the and Vivekananda's thought. 4 foundations of these books are these resources.
Sir, proceed.
Last not but the least, we have placed with two very important members of our management committee. They are not coming only in the non-academic function, but they have spare time to come to the academic function also. So I especially thank to Bhagisi Mandalkar and Ravi Singapore to place us for their presence.
Oh, sir, he English one. Marathi देऊ का?
100 language. वेदांताच्या सगळ्या ग्रुप फक्त फोटो चालू ठेवा तुमचं बॅकग्राऊंड.
ओके म्हणजे फोटोही होईल.
I'm really thankful.
आपण असं करू हे
on
आणि
this
हे
occasion
हातात
to
धरू.
Yes, yes,
भक्ती
yes.
वेदांत याच्या हातात मी घालतो.
अरे वा, हे फारच.
I will talk on the genome to home.
तुम्ही उभे राहते.
This is very current topic all over the world, and we expect his more and more guidance on this occasion. Really, we have a good list, academic list today's on
घेतला का तुमचं झालं का नाही अजून घेतलं नाहीये
after Dashara and Kojagiri Purnima. It was just a very brilliant feast from Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan. I thank on behalf of all of you. I really thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Surer Gosai sir, for sparing time for this function. In spite of his busy schedule and hectic business. I thank Sharad Deshpande sir. We have today opportunity to see the Guru and Shishya on the same stage, and we realize how he has contributed to philosophy department. I thank both the management council members, all the professors of the philosophy department, PhD students and PG students who have contributed to this function their best input. I thank Girish Tundu and his team for giving technical advice for this program. Thanks also due to all the PhD scholars, PG students and professors from various departments from the Pune University, especially Dr. Nadab sir and others. Of course, we generally say that this PPU is the Oxford of the East, and really this seminar indicates that we are really in the Oxford of the East, and credit goes to Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan. We hope that this book will have been Cambridge and Harvard and Stanford University, not only Pune University. So we expect this thing from him. Again, once all, thanks for all of you.
Book is available on Amazon.
You can get the book from Amazon, and I think other publishers also there in Pune. So, after all, thanks to every Genome and O. Thank you very much.
Thank you.